welcome back to Beauty School Bobby. Today, I'm so excited to be here with Kevin Gerety from Cal Salon Division and Marwan from Belleza Salon and Spa, who you all know and love already. We've recently done episodes with him, so I know you all already know Marwan, but we're so excited to have you here on the show.
Thank you so much. I love it. I love it.
Well, welcome to Knoxville.
Thank you. Thank you.
I know you all have had a big day already. You all had class together at the salon, so tell me a little bit about what happened this morning.
Well, we have a new product that Goldwell is introducing right now. So we had a class to train all our staff this morning.
Awesome. And how good did it feel to be back in person?
Bobby, it felt so good, really, just because we haven't done that for so long.
Yeah.
And just the idea of being able to launch something brand new and exciting and relevant and really just be able to see people's faces and doing that, which we're so used to. So it was really, really great.
Yeah, and I'm
really
sure
great.
the staff was so happy to be like back together.
Yeah, it's our first education event since COVID.
Yeah.
And by the way, we all are vaccinated.
Yes.
So
That's
why
true.
we are
Yes.
doing this interview
100%.
without a mask.
That's for sure. That's true.
So, hey, good days are ahead for all of us.
Well, as you told us it was coming in the
It is
episode,
coming.
You warned us that we were right around the corner, so
We
you
are.
were right on that.
We're excited.
So I know you all have a long history together, and so I'm really happy that we get to be here together. I want to talk about how this started. So when did you guys start working together? How long have you been working together?
Gosh, geez.
I think we've been working together probably about 10, 11 years,
Right.
somewhere
Wow.
around there.
Yeah.
You know, we've only used, as a salon, we've been in business for 27 years, 28 years. We've only used actually 2 color lines. We have never used anything more than 2 color lines. We started with another company, and we were not happy with the color itself as much as we were unhappy with the support we were getting from them. We felt we were outgrowing our last company and the support they were able to give us.
Yeah.
So we searched and we did a very methodical search. It took us actually almost 2 years to find the
It was a
color.
very long,
Wow.
tedious search for them, and it shows that they took it seriously
Right.
on what their next move would be. But they took it.
I'm not
very-
surprised at all, actually. When you
I
said
was
that, I'm
shocked.
like, that makes sense to me for you, doing your research and making sure you land. But that's important to take your time. It's
It's
nothing
true.
to
Very
take.
true.
It is important. You know what? The hardest thing is to train people on using color. And you don't want to keep switching color on people and retrain and keep messing up on clients. You know, consistency is very important for us.
Yeah.
So that's what we did. And they loved Goldwell and they loved the support that Goldwell really provide for us.
Yeah.
And I'm going to let Kevin really go over all the support they provide for salons. But honestly, they are, bar none, probably the best company that was out there in the support they provide.
Yeah, and I think the length of time you've been with them definitely shows that. I think that you're right. A lot of salons will switch colors or go back and forth, and obviously when you found you're happy, like you stuck with it. So
We found our
that's
happy place. Yeah.
So what is probably like the number one thing, and I know that you kind of mentioned it's the support that you're getting. What kinds of things are they providing for you that like help you specifically at Belleza? Because I know every salon's different, but and everybody needs something a little bit different. So what is it specifically for you?
So that's a great question, really, because you know what we need might be different from the next person and the other person and stuff like that. For us specifically, what we needed the extra support that we were not getting. We needed the academies. We needed the in-salon higher level training. And I'm not talking like, somebody who is in the field, and not to minimize that particular position, but our staff is very well educated. So we couldn't really bring anybody into the salon that were less educated than already our staff. So we needed to bring in somebody who's really well educated and above our staff.
Right.
Because the minute you bring somebody they're not going to learn from, you're going to lose them anyway. They're not going to show up the next time. So they provide us with platform artists that come in here about 3 times a year.
Wow.
That they do education for all our staff. So that's the kind of support we were looking for.
Yeah.
Really.
You have very high standards for education, which I love.
We do.
I think it's
We do.
so
It's good, though.
important.
Yeah.
It's so important in a salon to have high education standards. I mean, that's everything. And it's everything to
Very
you
true.
all, for sure. So it's awesome. It says a lot for what you're able to provide, because I know what they expect. And
it's spread out. Honestly, if your staff is not educated, they can't deliver to the client the type of service you need them to do. So that's why it's so important for us. And also, they're a global company, so they've been able to set up for us that we've worked, me and Kevin, have worked extensively on setting up classes overseas. We've been to 2-3 different academies overseas.
Wow. That's incredible.
That is really a setup for us that is fantastic.
Yeah.
And if I could just say something added to what you're talking about, I think more than just the constant training, that they have to be inspired.
Right.
You know, we have to always mold and envelop that creative spirit. And that's what keeps us going. And, you know, it always ends up on the client side for sure. But if they get bored, that's never good.
Right.
And so changing it from the creativity level and the inspiration level, and really that's what when we were working with them on what they were looking for, all the needs, it was not just we need more education and training. Yeah. We want this type. We need this kind of element. We need global, advanced, and creative and inspirational. So, you know, it does go to the big picture.
Yeah,
you know?
it does. And then products align with that as well. Obviously, you're happy with the product that is provided also. That's obviously number one.
Well, that's number one, really. You know, that's a given.
It has to work.
You know, if the stylists are not happy with the performance of that product and the clients are not happy, then everything else doesn't really matter.
Marwan.
So we take the product performance as a given.
Right.
It's the extra stuff that we have to have in order to make it work. It's the next level for us more than anything.
Yeah,
sure.
so you represent 3 major product lines, correct? So tell me a little bit about what those are, what you represent, and then we'll kind of jump in a little bit deeper about your story, because we met 2 seconds ago, and now I'm obsessed and like never want you to leave. So talk to us a little bit about the product lines first, and then we'll go into
I'd love to. So as a global company, we've always strived to really create a portfolio that encompasses as much as we can. You know, we want to always supply our partners with everything they need out of one house, you know? So it's taken us a bit to get there. I mean, we were Goldwell just for the longest time, and then we added on the KMS brand. Then we created a Veris tool brand, tools and accessories. And then our most recent addition to our family is Orbe Hair Care. So really, we've always been thoughtful and strategic about our plan, but it's always with the salon in mind. Like always making sure whatever we have for them is going to fit with what we need to provide them.
Yeah.
And it's really been such a wonderful journey for our company to always just really be mindful of what the big picture is, and that is having relevant, high-performing, supported brands.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome.
For sure. So
I know that Knoxville loves the product. I know that at Belleza for sure. It's funny seeing it all over. I know that Belleza isn't the only one that carries that product, but it is such a wonderful, wonderful product line. And Knoxville is obsessed with it too.
Thank you. Well, and again, you know, we are the kind of company that we have our product brand, but that always means that we can always make it better.
Yeah.
So perfection is always a journey. And so we have a high performing brand in both hair care products and retail and all that.
Yeah.
But just like we did today, we launched a much more high performing, elevated, updated lightener.
Yeah.
Because you always have to be on top of that. You know, so perfection just means that there's always something better. And we know that.
Right.
In this industry long enough, there's always something that's new technology, you know, new performance, you know, attributes. So
we're honestly in an ever-changing industry.
That's right, exactly.
Change is the only constant in our industry.
True.
So if our manufacturers is not changing with the times and providing the tools that's needed to achieve that change in a much more efficient way, then it's not a good partnership between us and them, because we're struggling at that time to really fulfill that change. So they do their part into making that happen, and they sometimes push us.
That's true. That's true.
It's funny that you said that, because I was just going to ask you, how much feedback how much are you hearing feedback about products that are coming out and all that stuff? I'm sure that they're coming to you not always with positive reviews. And do you, kind of adjust that? And are you listening to certain people more than others? Like, how does that all work?
It's tricky. I will say that because, you can bring something really innovative and really clever and really something really different, but that doesn't always mean it's going to work right away. So sometimes it's good to maybe watch other things happen and then you learn from that and then you can perfect it. Like, an example is like when the keratin smoothing treatments came out.
Oh yeah.
Everyone was like, oh my God, you need to make one. But we had to let that whole thing go through its system. Yes. And they're like, okay, we need to make it this way now and this way now. So coming first at the party is great, but sometimes you can really adjust that and say, we're not ready to make it what it really needs to be.
Right.
When it comes to performance and results kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So it's a tricky because you always want to be the first.
But that's the long game, right?
It's exactly right.
It's the long game. You've got to kind of let it ride and see everyone else. Let everyone else kind of make mistakes first and learn from it. I love that.
But sometimes we're first and we're good with that. But we always want to make sure that if we're going to be the first, it's going to be really good.
Yeah, I love that. That's so awesome. So tell me a little bit about you coming into the beauty industry, because I know that we were talking before we started recording. So tell me about what this experience has been like for you and when you came into the industry. How long have you been in the beauty industry?
Well, my story is really interesting because I went to school for education and business. And that was just because I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I thought, let me just go wide with with education and business and let me see how it develops from there. And it was really literally, I was working in a computer consulting firm. Bored out of my head.
Like, I can't even imagine you.
I know.
Like, what? Like, that is not what I was expecting to say at all.
Yeah, it's true. I was like, this is not working for me.
I could have told you that being that setting
already.
Was not,
I know. So then I went into luxury retail, and I was like, okay, now I'm feeling it. Feeling it. But I was kind of not sure where that path was going to lead, and I literally answered an ad in the paper, which back then, that's what we did. You looked at the paper and the help wanted ads to find jobs, right? And it was
Don't tell them how old we are.
I know. I kind of gave it away already.
Yeah, I know.
And so I answered this ad from a really one of the first natural-based hair care brands, and they were really into the spiral perms.
Okay.
So I said, let me just check that out. And it was kind of random. I didn't have any really background in that, but I have been obsessed ever since.
Yeah.
And that was maybe 30 years ago.
That's so incredible.
That was kind of my thought. Let me just get a taste of that. And then I just has grown from that. But that was my beginning.
Yeah, and you're so happy in your job. It seems like a perfect fit for you.
I love this industry.
Yeah.
And I think we all can agree that this industry is a very passionate, care-driven, just the ultimate in customer service and energy and creativity for sure. Yes. And that's why I actually tried to leave it a couple times and I couldn't. I came right back. Yeah. Because there is something about that we can really embrace about our industry. And really for me, it's always been about relationships. Yeah. I mean, more than ever before, that's where this began, is really understanding the relationship and the support partnership of what our company was able to bring. Yeah. And it starts with that. Yeah. And so right now, like, you're kind of day to day in the job that you're doing. You're representing top 30 salons-ish in the company, in the brand. And so you get to have these relationships. Yeah. Obviously, this is the best and the favorite. We have lots.
No. Yes. So you get to work with so many different salons and get to meet so many different people. So I think that that's like such an exciting job as well, because you're just around so many different people every day. It's not like the same. There's never a same day. No, which is really true. Yes, which is great though, because it keeps you excited in the industry. It keeps you here and you get to like do so many different things. So I wanted to ask you, what are some just some things right now that you're seeing in the salons that salons are needing? What do you think that right now I kind of want to talk about this on at the point that we are right now. So getting back to somewhat normalcy, getting back to normal life. What are you seeing like being the number one need for salons right now?
Well, I think I'll go back to your original point of every salon is different. And I think our company always knew that. We've had this little special group called the Key Relationship Manager Group that we've had for a bit because we always understood there's a certain dynamic and customization that you have to have with our key partners. Right. And which again does keep every day so different because they're all different and they all need something different for sure. And I love that opportunity to really embrace each one. And like you said, every day is completely different because of that. Yeah. And you just can't be the same for everybody because it does go back to everyone's so different. I think what we have really experienced really currently as a result of us slowly coming out of this pandemic situation is we need to re-energize them. Okay. We need to re-engage their creative and their passion spirit. Yeah. Because that's what we thrive on. Every day we look at that. We need that passion, that drive, that creativity. And that's kind of been lost a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think right now what we see as a company, whether it's globally or even in the U.S. market, we have to re-engage them and give them that spirit back.
Yeah.
So we are full steam ahead in all the things that we're trying to do, safely, of course, and with regard to the current situation. But even during the pandemic, we were still alive. Like you couldn't lay low.
Yeah, no.
You could if you wanted to, but
Yeah.
we were very active and visible, and we were really relative even during that time because you can't afford to lose that culture and then try to regain it back over again.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
I have to brag. I have to brag on the cow division. Actually, during the pandemic,
That's true.
at some point, it was very hard to get supplies in when we reopened, specifically in our particular area here, because we opened ahead of the majority of the country.
Right, yeah.
While the whole rest of the country was shut down.
Yeah.
So they actually supplied us direct
Wow.
with coordination with our suppliers.
Wow.
So the manufacturer actually bypassed the supplier, and they all spoke. They figured a plan, and we were being able to get supplies directly from them.
Wow.
Because
Bypassing
salons
the
were still
distributor.
trying to do and capture whatever they could.
Right.
But if you didn't have anything, then that
It
was going to
didn't
make it
matter.
hard,
Can't move
right?
forward. Yeah, we couldn't take clients if we didn't have product. Yeah.
You asked him a question right now about what you think the salons need and all that stuff. It's so funny you asked that question because we really were talking about this particular question over the weekend.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think we are at a stage right now that we are coming out of the pandemic. I think gradually and fast, actually, we're going to see in the next 2 months, almost, we're going to go back to normal, pretty much in this whole country to a certain extent, barring any setback of any kind. But if the trajectory is the same way, I think we're headed back to normalcy very fast. From a salon owner standpoint of view, we're tired.
Yes.
I'm just being very honest and upfront about it.
Yes.
We, for the last year and a half almost, have done nothing except to react to crises after crises after crises. And we are actually tired. It zapped our energy. We need to be re-energized. That is
even at the salon owner level, for sure. So
that's true.
Yeah.
Because we had to work very hard at maintaining normalcy for the staff. We had to work very hard at making sure how do we take care of them. We had to adjust to different. Honestly, for 20 years, we've told our clients, "Oh, you are welcome in our environment. Come on in, have a drink, have a cup of coffee, enjoy."
Yeah.
Today, they can't even have a drink in our establishment. They can't even sit down in our waiting area. We're just tired because we changed so many rules so fast that we keep changing them. So that's what we need. We need to be re-energized for the industry to come back.
Yeah.
Right.
And that doesn't happen on each individual level. That needs to be a higher level from the manufacturers, from the leaders of the industry that can filter it down.
Because you're still in it. You're still in it. You're in the
We're
everyday.
still reacting right now.
Yeah.
We're
That's
still
such a
reacting.
great point because I think that when we're talking about what are you able to give, like that's such a great point.
Right.
Like that's exactly what you need right now. We were talking about on a stylist level when we had recorded before about how we're just not trying to get by. We have our standards, right? But we are kind of in survival mode. Correct. So things that we wouldn't let happen before, right? We're like, okay, we're not just going to make such a big deal about this, or we were really tough about this one thing. And now it's just not the thing anymore. And I think you're saying that. We've got to get them back. Right. Now we got to bring it back to what our standards are.
And that's going to be very hard.
Yes, it will
because,
be for sure.
Bad habit that we've allowed to happen, not because they're bad habit, but out of necessity.
Right.
We had to not allow our staff to wait in the building. We sent them out to their cars.
Right.
we
Which
put
usually
them on
be like, you can't go to your car.
Now you got to go back.
Right.
You got to reel them in. So it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
And if I can add to that whole conversation, because we feel from the Cal Salon division and our salon partners, we always felt like it was important that we had a community as well. So there were several times during the pandemic that we had the shutdown that we had virtual meetings as salon owners together supporting each other, because there was so much going on that there were all these questions and unknowns, and how is this working for you? How's this working for you? And there was some really great conversations about how are you handling this? And as a company, we always want to keep our salon partners involved and connected and used as a networking support system too. You know, I mean, sometimes they learn more from each other.
Yeah.
You know, so it was actually really kind of a cool part of what we tried to do.
We had Zoom calls on reopening, you know, that because we reopened first, so the other areas wanted to learn.
Right.
So they hooked us all up on a Zoom call where we can actually all co-share with them exactly the problems we face.
Right.
Yeah, that's so valuable. I mean, I feel like more than anything, that's what's important. And I think that looking back, we're going to be like, thank goodness we had that. I mean, I think we can a little bit now, but I think we're still adjusting to being like, there's even more of that relationship to come and to use. And
well, and I'll be honest, I'm actually really proud of our company because we were very visible and active, and I know our salon partners were so happy because there was that connection that sometimes you feel lost and alone.
Yeah.
And it was really important. Now, it was hard too because we had to do it a whole different way too. You know, I'm not used to doing virtual.
Yeah.
But so the virtual method was really, we had to adapt too. But it was something that I know for a fact that our salon partners like, thank you guys so much. Because again, it's about product. Right. But it's the support, the connection, the visibility, all those things that I think, again, now more than ever, is the value.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Honestly, I have to brag at them. I think that's really during easy and good times and happy time, everything's okay.
Yeah.
It's really during the hard times that you can see where your support lays at.
That's true.
And you can see who you can depend on, and you can really see who's got this, you know, the structure to make it happen for you. And honestly, during the pandemic, they came through big time. And that's why it is so important to align yourself with the right partner for the long run.
I was literally just about to say that I wonder how this is going to change. I mean, I think there's so many salon owners out there that maybe they're just still in the trenches. So again, we just haven't come out on the other side of this yet, but that are going to say like, I needed more support and now I need to look for something else. You know, I need to go a different way because if this happens, whatever happens again, whether it's pandemic or whatever, you know, challenges this industry faces, because there are other challenges coming. There's always going to be something just looming. So who's going to be there to support you? And now I'm sure your relationship is stronger than it's ever been because you're like, it was almost like your life raft, you know, you're like, thank goodness that we have that. And it's so much more valuable to you. So you were lucky enough to have that years long relationship. It wasn't something that you were just trying to figure out just kind of on the go. But I think now it's even more important to make sure that salon owners are aligning themselves.
Well, and I'll tell you, actually, based on what you just said, it's funny you say that because we've had more salons interested in our company because of that. Yeah. Like, you know, they know now they need to make some decisions. And it's who's going to be the most visible, supportive, because again, I've had some actually really good new business already in this year from salons who said, we want to talk to you. Yeah. Because we've heard, we've seen, we know. And so it does help the longevity of your brand culture, for sure.
Have you noticed that it's that making that transition into something new? How weird is it doing that during a pandemic? I mean, because you're used to taking on new clients, I'm going to come see you, I'm going to be in your salon, I'm going to be there, and I'm sure you're not able to do that as much anymore. So how has that changed for you, or what? Are you just so excited to like just get back in there?
I think, you know, people did make some changes during the pandemic for sure. It was different because we had to approach it a whole different way when it came to, you know, onboarding and training and just that whole thing. Most of it came when we saw the light coming. They're like, okay, we want to do this. And a lot of times the staff is the one that's like, oh, really change? But I think they're more excited about it too than ever because they know that they have not gotten what they've needed, and they know that we can do that. Yeah. And so it does, you know. So it's coming from even the stylist side that they're excited about a change because of what they know. Yeah. So you know, I think we had to go through this weird year and a half, and then just support it as best we could. Yeah. And then knowing that there's going to be a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
Slowly but surely, as we talked about.
Yeah, definitely. So would you say that they've always been like just customer service based anyways, or has that increased a lot more? I mean, it sounds like from what you're telling me about the company, and just some reading, doing some research, that it's very customer service based.
Yep.
You know, kind of where Disney has the, you know, we do XYZ and there's like this system of the way that things are done. I feel like it sounds like you all have a very similar, like very high standards, which I know, knowing you, I know that you would accept nothing less. But,
that's true.
But is that, do you think, even elevated more? I mean, you guys have had to change things a little bit.
We have. I mean, we've had to pivot too, but I'll tell you what makes that different is as a company culture and philosophy, it's always, and our mantra basically is we think stylist. That's who we are supportive of. And you know, the business owner comes naturally from that. But you have to think of, we are exclusively dedicated to the salon and stylist. Everything we do and create and support is all about the stylist, and then naturally goes into the salon owner. So you can't create it for anybody else but them. Otherwise, that's not going to work. So that's always been our mantra.
I'm going to add to this a little bit because I'm looking at it from the outside. I'm the client and the customer up here. I think it's very important to also understand that they've always had great customer service. It wasn't really the customer service that shined more during the pandemic. It was as much as it was good leadership that recognized this is a very short period of time, and then I have to survive after it.
That's true.
Right.
That's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what do I have to do during this particular period in order to be well positioned afterward when it opens up? And they were able to maintain. They operated normally during the pandemic. Their whole staff, they kept them. They were working. They were staying in touch, even though we were closed. But we had many Zoom calls during the pandemic with them, just like I had many Zoom calls with my staff during that time.
Right,
so they
exactly.
were incredibly active. While some other manufacturers maybe exited the scene and let it be, they did not do that. They were actually there and they were prepping for the different situation and what it needed to happen. I think that's where it shined more, where they shined. It was a good leadership that understood long term that we're going to be around anyway. So we might as well use this to a beneficial way for us and the salons that we serve.
Yeah.
And if I can just kind of give an example of that in a bragging way too, because this is where the partnership came to the table too, is when we were down in the pandemic and people still wanted to be creative or try to think creatively, we said, what can we do? We can't get together. We can't do certain things. So we came up with we have our national artist who did something at the drive-in. So we did this whole drive-in event where all the staff could come to the drive-in, like a normal drive-in. We had all kinds of fun interactivity, distantly, of course, because of the car thing.
Right.
But it was something that was creative and inspirational in a time that people were just like not sure what to do.
Yeah.
And we said, what can we do? And it was this collaboration of this can be really cool. And we were one of the first to do it in that format because you could be outside. We had our guest artist actually on the big screen. Yeah. So it was actually really great. I think that's something that you know.
It might not have been the most optimal education event that you can ever dream of if there was no pandemic, but it was fantastic during a time where nobody could get together.
It
was fantastic for us.
And I think that we had to think outside the box a little bit during this time and do things a little bit differently. Like you said, I think the point was, although it was separated, it was still together.
Yes.
And still kind of gave some
there was
some
still
sense
this
of, like,
energy
guys.
of the culture there, you know. And I think, again, it's another bragging point.
Yeah.
We were able to do that as a company. We're like, okay, let's do this. Let's try it. Let's move forward. Let's make it what we want to make it. And I just feel like we were very open to that as a company for our partner.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think that's so great. I think that's so special. So thank you so much for being with us today.
It was good.
I'm so excited to have knowing you now.
Yeah,
now I'm like, we got to go because we're hanging out now. And thanks for being here too, Marwan.
You're welcome. I'm glad I made the connection.
Yeah, don't you need a sidekick or an assistant or something?
Please.
I mean, come on.
I know.
Bobby and
we have
Kevin?
our new co-host. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Bobby.
Thank you again.
Wonderful.
Always. And make sure you guys are following us at Beauty School Bobby. Where can we follow you? I need to plug your stuff too. Where can we follow you? Because I know everyone.
Salon Division US. So, that's our corporate platform. But Goldwell US is our Goldwell for all of advanced education and our culture vision there too. So lots of places to go.
Yay. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. And we'll see you next time on Beauty School Bobby. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Did it.